I was journaling the other day and I wrote something in here about my fast that I've been doing, and I wanted to read it on here. So I said, I learned with fasting that there's a difference between fasting with intention versus depriving yourself of joy, even when the desired result and effect is achieved. After a month and a half with no social medias, I feel simple, free, and open. I feel authentic, less pressure, and more present. My fast this year is much easier than the one last year or previous attempts over the course of, you know, my 20s. It feels more like a choice, even a willing offering I'm making rather than a punishment. What makes a fast effective is knowing when to end it. I've truly learned this with eating. You don't break the fast when you can't take it anymore. You break it with intention, you break it with control. And this is the same way you're supposed to start as well. It begins when maintenance is needed, when structure loosens a bit too much, when grounding is needed, and planning has gone out the window. Hey guys, long time no see. I'm here to just give you guys a quick update. I am 2 months into my social media fast, and I haven't only just been social media fasting, I've also been detoxing in other ways. I have been really trying to get into my body, do some physical fasting as well, to just really do some all around transformation in 2026. You guys have heard me talking about getting into my body in many, many videos. And so we can do that in so many ways. And this year, I'm just really kind of tightening up my relationship with fasting. Um, I have been practicing fasting on and off over the years, but fasting just helps with so many different things. And one of those things I have been working on over the years is my relationship with food. Okay. I'm going to be really, really honest. This year, 2026 is different because I did a social media fast for 4 months in 2025 from January to May. And the only reason I broke my fast in May was because I had just obtained my first degree ever. I graduated um, from a local college with my associate's degree, and I was just overjoyed and I could not contain it. And so I wanted to share it with as many people as possible because when you're on a high, when you achieve something great, you don't want to contain it. And if you do, you probably have some type of wound around your solar plexus or shame wound or some type of wound about being celebrated or experiencing joy. Maybe I don't know why I'm channeling this right now, but maybe somebody, when you were happy, they tried to snuff it out or shame you for whatever it is brought you joy when you were a kid. Oh, you shouldn't be that happy about it. Oh, you think you all that, or stuff like that that people make as remarks to us when we are going through different developmental stages as children. So anyway, that's a tangent. I don't know why that came out, but sometimes y'all just got to excuse me because if you know spirit is always with us and the ancestors are always ready to speak. um whether you see them or not, whether I'm dressed spiritually or not, they are ready to come with the tea and the downloads, okay? Anyway, I wanted to celebrate myself and I wanted to share that moment. So that is why I broke my fast last year. But honestly, if it hadn't been for me getting my first degree ever in life, I probably would have stayed on a little bit longer. Because once you get into once you get comfortable in a fast, it's really, really easy to kind of detach from even the desire that you thought you had, or thought you had for something, and the thing that you might have thought you needed or kept you so entertained or whatever it may be, you just, you kind of realize, oh, wow, this doesn't even have that much power over me as I thought it did. So 2026 is really interesting because as I mentioned, I've been fasting for roughly 2 months. And as I got closer to that 2 month mark, I just felt like I already got what I needed. Like, I felt like, and I'm recording this at 2 months. So I'm feeling that way right now. I'm feeling like every time I record videos, I swear it's always some sirens, it's always some noise in the background. Like I just can't. So now that the siren has passed and I can finish saying what I have to say without my train of thought constantly being broken. um Jesus, recording this as I'm 2 months into my 2026 digital detox. And one of the main things that I've discovered um, in fasting, not just digitally, but also physically, is that you don't want fasting to become a punishment. When you fast, you're withholding something from yourself. Yes, you are depriving yourself, but you're doing so with an intention. And personally, I've discovered that once that intention has been reached, you kind of naturally want to creep out of that fast. If you're physically fasting, your body can reach a breaking point where it's like, all right, now, and it doesn't mean that you're going to go straight to the junk food, but it may mean that we're ready to drink some water, we're ready to get a little fruit in our system. So I feel the same way about my digital detox. You don't wait until your breaking point to start a fast, and you also don't wait until your breaking point to stop one either. You don't wait until, oh, I just, the temptation is crazy, you're out of, you're about to lose control over your fast. You don't, that's not when you break a fast. You break a fast intentionally. You break a fast when you feel ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, you can feel that, okay, I've reached my goal. I have, I've made it to that intention that I set. And I can slowly come out of this fast. Like I said, it doesn't mean that, even with social media, I use food as an example, saying it doesn't mean you're going to jump right back into eating junk food and candy 24/7. But with with a digital detox, it doesn't mean I'm going to be filming content every single day, editing all day long, uploading daily. No, but it may mean that, okay, I'm slowly gearing up to come back online, to share myself with people, to to just see what's out there and to engage with people and with the world in this way. I just wanted to kind of share some more things that I'm discovering while I am digitally detoxing, and also while I am physically detoxing as well, which is equally as hard, but both have different rewards. Last year, I did a 4 month um, digital detox, and yes, at some point, I think maybe halfway through, just like I'm doing now, halfway through, I kind of sort of like hopped back on YouTube, and I was peeking and watching a few channels here and there. But then I was like, you know what? I don't need this. This is not really doing anything for me. Let me just go ahead and keep pushing until closer to the summer. And that's how I got to May. Right now, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna do that or not. Um, but I am just stopping to record and document where I am because this is organic, this is real feedback from fasting that somebody else may need to encourage them and um, help them know how to fast and how to get the most out of fasting. And so, and also to know what benefits are going to come out of fasting. The real goal of fasting should be balance. It shouldn't be, again, I'm going to kind of repeat some of these concepts multiple times, but I just hope that you receive what I'm trying to say, okay? The goal of fasting should be balancing, okay? It shouldn't be deprivation, withholding, or punishment, okay? And I think that sometimes if we push ourselves too hard in fasting, or if we just don't have a clear intention of why we are withholding or depriving ourselves of something, then we can take it too far, and now we could be detached from things that we enjoy or things that do make us happy, and we're now going into that mode of punishment. The thing about fasting is that the more that you practice it, the more you know what balance feels like. So, for example, last year was the first time that I intentionally got my off social media for a prolonged period of time. I'm talking about all apps deleted and logged off. And when I did take a little bit of break halfway through my fast last year, like I said, I only got on YouTube and I might have watched a few videos, went to a few channels, and then I logged right back off because I realized, I'm not really missing anything. Everybody is doing the same old thing. Um, Instead of focusing on what I'm missing out on, let me focus on what I'm creating in the present moment. Let me focus on creating my future, right? So it was very easy to realign back into my intentions of fasting after just giving myself a little bit of grace for being human, right? But yes, like this year, I don't necessarily feel the need to push myself to do a full 4 month fast. Now, I'm not saying I won't try to do it, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. My ancestors, my spirit guides, they want me to push and go into a 4 month fast. Okay. Now, why they want me to do that? I really think it's just because they want me to just focus on other things. And that's one of the beautiful things about not being on social media, is that you realize how distracted you've been, how distracted you are, and how much you can really accomplish when you intentionally focus on things that you need to do in your real life. Again, the purpose of fasting, the intention of fasting should be always at its core to restore balance. And the more that you learn what balance feels like in your life, the less that you're not going to have to go as hard. You're not going to have to course correct so hard. You're not going to have to overcorrect yourself, because you're going to know, okay, this is good. I feel good. I feel clear. I feel whole. I feel focused. Whatever other adjectives you want to describe yourself when you feel your best. And the same thing with food, like if I do a 20-hour fast for 3 or 4 days out the week, my body is tired and I'm ready to just have a chill day where I'm not on a strict timeline with eating. And then I give myself that grace, because now I know what balance feels like. If I eat something and I have been fasting, I'm gonna know, okay, I'm full, because I know what it feels like to be not food, right? But if you never have those experiences of different sides of the spectrum, if you're always feeling yourself, then you're not really going to have a good measurement of what's too much and what's too little and what's just enough. So I think I've kind of harped that point enough. Fasting changes how you see the world around you. I've noticed that, especially when I'm doing food fast, it's like I'll leave my house and I know I'm on a fast. And I'm just driving down the street and all I see is fast food restaurants and all I see is, Mexican restaurants and Italian and pizza places and all this different stuff. And I'm like, wow, this world is really set up for you to fail. It's set up full of distractions, full of traps. Like that's how I'm driving down the road and I'm like, this is crazy. Like I'm literally on a fast and I see all these things, right? And so when you're fasting, your perspective will change. No matter what you're fasting from, it's gonna give you an alternate perspective, a perspective that's important. When I'm not fasting, I can still engage with these restaurants and whatever as I want to, and in a way that's, I don't want to say healthy, but not excessive. But what changed is that when I do engage with these places, I'm not overdoing it. I also have now a mentality that, you know what, this is all a part of capitalism. There's all these different shops and restaurants and making you think that you need to stop and get so much to eat. And it's taking away the aspect of creating meals that might even be healthier and better for you, and meals that you might enjoy more at home, because it's so easy to just stop and buy and buy and buy and buy. So what happens is you're spending more money outside of your home buying up all these quick little things, and you're gaining more weight. You're not being as healthy because there's all these traps and distractions around you. So fasting really gives you the discipline. And like I said, with that discipline, it also gives you a perspective shift of what's really going on in the world around you. We have all these options that are presented to us, but a lot of these options in life, they are, some of the options that we have are traps. Some of the options that we have are quick fixes. Some of the options that we have are just not what's best for us. And it's just a cash grab. Anything for money, anything for money. So, and I'm not just talking about food right now. So, fasting allows you to slow down and really, really think about what you truly need and what you truly want for yourself. Fasting is easy when you can turn your attention completely off of whatever it is that we're allowing to consume so much of your time. And as long as you have something else to occupy you, it's really not that hard. But the thing is finding that replacement. The thing too, and I wrote something about this in my journal, is that what we have to realize when we try to swap things out or we try to fast, we have to realize that there's always going to be something that we put in place to replace whatever it is that we're missing, right? So for me, not being on the internet, I replaced it with gardening. I started sprucing up around the house and planting a bunch of new things, getting some potted plants, putting stuff in the ground. And for a minute, I just went gardening crazy, right? And it was a beautiful experience. But then I had to sit back and I had to tell myself, like, okay, wait, am I going too hard in the gardening, right? And so, again, it's all about balance. when you deprive yourself of one thing and you replace it with something else that maybe you're going to go hard in and you're going to maybe overdo it a little bit in, is that really a good fast if you don't have balance, you know? And I think that is a big thing that I've realized too. You know, it's really about not letting something have so much power and control over you, you know, not letting a certain food or a certain diet dictate your life, and not letting your phone or whatever media dictate your life. You know, if you wake up in the morning and you have to watch somebody's YouTube channel, or you have to look at somebody's Instagram page, or you know, you have to look at these you know, celebrity blog pages or whatever like that. At a certain point, you have to evaluate, is this, does this have control over me, and is this controlling my life and how I move, and could I be pouring into myself a little bit more intentionally? Could I replace this activity with something that's better quality, more meaningful to me? Even, like I said, even if you're going to swap one thing for another, is that other thing that you're swapping it for of a higher vibration, you know? Um, Same thing with food. You know, if you wake up in the morning and you have to have a certain thing, I know a lot of times I will be late to wherever I'm going if I don't stop and get me a cup of coffee. I gotta have that cup of coffee, right? I just love drinking coffee. It does nothing for me energetically, but I just like the taste of it, right? In fasting, well, I can't drink coffee in the middle of a fast, right? Unless it's black. But who really wants black coffee, you know? Not having that coffee, it shows me that, wow, I'm letting a food item dictate my path and control my day and make me late to XYZ. And when I just drop that item, it no longer is a block in my path. It's no longer a problem for me to get on time to certain places and certain events, right? And so that's how big of a difference fasting, restoring balance can make in your life if used properly, right? If you don't take anything away from this video, just know that fasting is about balance. Once you know what balance feels like, you don't have to overcorrect, overdo it, or punish yourself in fasting. It's not about that. In fasting, you will swap whatever you're fasting from with something else. So you need to be able to evaluate, are you just picking a different poison, or are you choosing something that is better quality, higher vibration, more healing, or whatever you want to describe it as, better for you? And again, what is the focus? What is the intention? And what types of control are you gaining back? What types of autonomy are you gaining back when you free yourself from certain certain things that have a hold on you?